Welcome to Dan and Cube Productions. Today we will be interviewing Pop.
Also known as Gene Dannenfelser.
My name's Ian Dannenfelser.
And I'm Abigail Dannenfelser.
Our questions. We have our list of questions.
What is the hardest thing about being a firefighter, and what is the best thing?
Well, as being a fire investigator, other than the thousands of people that died at Ground Zero, during my career I did fire investigations for probably where over 200 people died. Sometimes it was elderly people or sometimes it was children. And the children part really got to me because Daddy and Uncle Sean were young then, and I always would come and give them an extra hug when I got home because it was tough doing investigations like that. But helping people and finding out what started a fire, that maybe we could stop it from happening again. We had a problem down in Winslow where there was a particular valve on a gas heater that kept malfunctioning. So there was a development that all the houses were built at the same time. And all of a sudden these houses started catching fire at the heater. So we finally realized it's the same heater and the same problem, so we had the manufacturing company come out and confirm, and we were able to go back out there and replace all the valves on those gas heaters so that they wouldn't have that problem again. So it's always nice when you can figure out what the problem is so you can stop a fire from happening in the future.
Why did you want to be a firefighter?
Well, as a younger boy, when I lived in Bergenfield, a man across the street named Dick Price was a volunteer fireman at the Prospect Fire Company in Bergenfield. And every once in a while they'd bring a fire truck home to his house, which was right across the street from where we lived. And he'd let the kids in the neighborhood climb on the fire truck or give us a ride on the fire truck. And I was hooked. I liked being on a fire truck, so once he let me take a ride on a fire truck or let me put the boots on or something as a young kid, I really liked it, and I always wanted to be a fireman.
Nice. How long have you been a firefighter?
Well, remember I talked to you about being a Boy Scout explorer?
Yeah.
I started that in 1972 when I was 14 years old, and then after that I became a full-fledged firefighter here in Haddon Heights when I turned 18 in 1975. So it's been over 40 years.
How did you get your name, Gus? Do you still have that newspaper?
I do have the paper. We were looking for it yesterday, but I can't find it. But I was a fire chief, and the newspaper reporter came over and asked me how a fire started and what was going on. And then the next day, the paper came out, and instead of Gene Dannenfelser, he called me Gus Dannenfelser. So there was a boy that was a friend of Daddy's and Uncle Sean's named James. And James liked it that they called me Gus. Yeah. So he would call me Gus all the time at the firehouse, and from there it stuck. Everybody started calling me Gus. My Aunt Elsie decided she was going to give me this helmet. And then she told me the story. This was her first husband's helmet. He was a New York City fireman, and his name was Eugene Studer. And he was assigned to Engine Company 81 in New York City. Well, when the war broke out during World War II, he signed up with a bunch of New York City firemen to go fight the war, and unfortunately he was killed. And now he's listed as a military line of duty death for the New York City Fire Department, but he's the only line of duty death for Engine Company 81 in New York City. So when you look inside this helmet, can you see right there? It says E. Studer, Engine 81. I started to wear this helmet with me. And the first helmet they gave me was a tin helmet. I didn't like it that much. So I had a leather helmet. So I wore my uncle's helmet when I first started as a volunteer fireman at 18 years old.
What were your feelings during and after 9/11?
I was very sad that we suffered the attack, but I wanted to get up there and help. And when I got home that morning, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, my friend John West was parked out in front of our house waiting for me to get home. And he too wanted to get to New York real bad and help them. But they were saying, listen, please don't come here unless we ask for you. We don't want people to get hurt or anything like that. So don't, what they called it, self-dispatch yourself to go there. So we waited and waited. Waited a week. And then on September 18th, 1 week from the day, we were deployed to New York for the first time. And I never forget, we had to go to the Port Authority police headquarters in Jersey City at Journal Square. And we got all the way up to the rooftop, and you would look over the river into Lower Manhattan, and you could see where the World Trade Center was, and it was still on fire, and there was still smoke coming from there. And they had all these lights and stuff on there just to help them dig, and it was very eerie looking. But that was my first glimpse of Ground Zero.
How did you get cancer? What caused the cancer from the rebel?
I went to the doctors because I was having a pain in my side, and they took an x-ray and they found the tumor in my chest. So they said it looks like it may be cancer, and then they did some tests and it was. But what caused the cancer from the rubble was the pulverized glass, the building materials, the burning jet fuel from the planes that hit the buildings, the plastics. There was asbestos in there, as well as mercury from the computers. So all of these materials were smashed to bits when the buildings came down into little particulates, so you could hardly probably see them. But when you breathed, you inhaled them, and they got into my lungs.
How does it feel to fight cancer? How did you find out you had cancer?
We've been doing pretty good. We were diagnosed in 2014, and we've been fighting it since. Now we're here in 2017, and we're still going strong. Sometimes I get weak from the drugs that you give you, but then you get over it. Like, you remember last week I was in the hospital. Now I'm home. I feel better. I walk to the end of the block now. I couldn't do that. I couldn't get out of bed last week. So it gets better. There's hills and valleys, up and down with my cancer treatment, but we'll get through it.
What do you say to other people with cancer? What should they do?
Well, I tell them to fight. Fight as hard as you can. It gives us more time to be with loved ones, even if they can't cure the cancer. It'll be, if they can slow it down, and Pop can be around for a little bit longer, and my quality of life is still good, then that's what I want to do. And what they should do is just remember that every day that we're here is a gift from God. God just is great to give us an extra day. I wake up in the morning and it's like, okay, he gave me another day.
If there was another 9/11, would you
Volunteer.
volunteer to go back? If you didn't have cancer, would you tell other people to sign up?
I would think if I wasn't sick and something like that happened, I would probably go back again. I learned some lessons from the last time. I urge people to go, yes, but to be more careful, to wear full face respirator, to change out their clothing so they're not absorbing the stuff through their skin. We're trying to at least decontaminate and get that stuff off of you, and then get cleaned up as fast as you can, so that the bad stuff that's out there doesn't get into your body.
What makes you the
Signal.
proudest in life? What are some of your favorite memories?
What makes you the proudest in life? I would have to say my family. You know, my mom, I love my mom. She's been great through this whole thing. She's been real good. And Daddy and Uncle Sean, and then Mommy. Anytime we have a question, all we do is text Mommy, and she knows the answers, or she gets the answers. And Aunt Kelly's been great to support Pop, and you guys are my backbone. When I go through this fight, I gotta say, let's do it for Ian and Abby and Sam. So that's what's my heart hurts, and my family's makes me the most proudest.
Because we're showing this to the hockey team, we needed to ask a question. Who is your favorite hockey team?
Well, the question, I don't know if this is a loaded question. Are we talking about what is my favorite professional hockey team? Or, because the Philadelphia Flyers are my favorite professional hockey team, but the best hockey team that I can think of is the Baltimore Stars.